Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors, your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. I'm glad you're here this Monday morning. We'll get started with our weather brought to us by Haney Technical Center. High today is going to be about 88. Low tonight about 74. I always use the word about because we've got a large viewing area and it's always warmer inland than it is. So, the temperatures I give are right here along the coastline usually, but it's always warmer here in August inland. And we've had some warm days. The dog days of August are here. Now, water temperature is about 83 degrees. Let's take a look at our tide chart brought to us by Kent Forest Lawn Funeral Home and Cemetery. Their motto is where caring counts. We're looking at today's Monday, August the 12th, our tides. We're looking at a low tide at 2:08, and I'm sorry, the high tide is at 2:08 a.m. Okay, and the low tide is at 11:21. You can see we're in these neap tides. Yeah. Not much tidal flow today, not much tidal flow tomorrow. But you're looking on toward the end of the week. We've got a really strong tide for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, when a lot of us will be able to fish on the weekend. All right, and now we've got about a 30% chance of rain. Wind's going to be coming out of southwest at about 4 to 8 miles per hour. All right, let's go ahead and take our break. We'll be right back with our special guest. All right, welcome back. Sitting here with Panhandle Outdoors boating expert, Rick Orley.
Good morning.
Good morning. We were talking about this is your anniversary. Well, how many years have you been doing this now?
Be 44 years the 20th of this month.
That is great, Rick. And the company, your dad started a company, of course, we talked about that before, but that was how long ago when he started?
He started it in May of 1954.
Wow.
So the company will be, next year in May, will be 60 years old.
Yeah, well, what that speaks well of is the reputation you all have had over the years and
yes,
what you've done. Well, what's been going on? You've been busy, haven't you?
Been busy. I mean, really busy. And, of course, I've got a new partner and junior surveyor, a surveyor associate, Yates Adams, and he's doing a fabulous job. He's going to be he is a good surveyor, but he's going to be even better as he builds experience. He's very, very observant, and that's real important when you're surveying. Is he sees the little things.
And he's got a good work ethic.
Yes, he is. Yeah, he's a hard worker. You can find people with technical knowledge, but you also have to have the ethics, and that comes from being raised right.
Yeah.
His family did a good job of raising him because when it's one way, that's it. It's the right way. Mm-hmm. And he's very honest and very ethical, and I like that. That's what I was looking for.
And you said you had a really busy week last week.
Yeah, we are.
You thought you had a couple boats. You ended up with how many?
We're going to wind up with 11 surveys.
11.
Yeah,
11?
Yeah.
And one survey sometime will take you half a day or something. I mean,
yeah, it depends.
A big boat.
When you build up some experience, you can do about about an hour for every 10 foot of boat.
Okay.
That's what I can do. Now, when you first start out, you can do about half that. But as you build experience and you know where to look and what to look for, a 35-foot boat takes me about 3.5 hours to look at it. And then it'll take that long to write it up. So, a 35-foot boat, which is our average size, takes me 7 hours of work that day. Plus going to and from, and of course I drive about 15,000 miles a year to surveys.
Yeah. Well, you were telling me about one of the surveys was a wooden boat. And people, I do remember now once you start talking about it, most people don't realize when you mix in that metal, we don't have a lot of wooden boats left, but they're special. A lot of them are special.
Yes, they are, and they were built quite some time back, is the general rule. And when they were built in the 70s and before, most of them. They were built either with silicon bronze fittings or Monel steel. And when you go to refasten, a lot of people are thinking, well, I want to keep the corrosion down, and stainless steel doesn't corrode as much as the others, so I'll put stainless steel and I don't want to worry about it. But what you're doing is when you do that, when you make a battery, you got carbon, you got electrolyte, a gel in there, and then you got tin on the outside. And that's a battery. Well, if you take these Monel or silicon bronze fittings and mix them with the stainless steel and you put them in salt water, that's an electrolyte. You've made a battery. And what happens is it eat the lesser noble metals such as Monel or silicon bronze will be eaten away. And that will weaken that part of the boat. And then if you fall off a heavy sea, you can bust something and the boat get compromised. And that can happen and has happened. And you know, had one here just recently, and it's a shame because it was a pretty boat. And it was the owner trying to do right but didn't have enough knowledge. And you know, it's a shame stuff like that happens.
Yeah.
You know, it's not his fault, but there again, the insurance company looks at it, you know, and says, hey, wait a minute, you know, we thought we were insuring a sound boat.
Yeah.
Well, at the time they were doing it, basically they were.
Well, do you find yourself in a lot of times a lot of hassle sometimes when the insurance companies and the owners? I mean, does that go back and forth?
Not a lot, but when it does, you know, the insurance company usually, believe it or not, contrary to what lawyers say, they try to do the right thing. They want the customer done right, but it's difficult. It's like when you write the thing up, you're saying, wow, man, I know this is going to hurt this guy, but I ain't got any choice, you know, and I really don't. It's a hard place to be, but you have to tell the truth. And the thing about it is, I hate it for the owner because they'll fix what was apparently broke by the sea, but the rest of it, you know, it may wind up being on his nickel. And that's hard because he thought he was doing something that was going to save him money, and it cost him money. And that's difficult. It really is.
Now, we're talking about boat insurance too, and a lot of our people out there, they have these smaller boats, but boat insurance is just as important on those little 17-footers
Yes, it is.
than it is on the 35-footers.
One thing that kind of disturbs me sometimes with a boat owner is, well, it's just for insurance. I just need a survey for insurance, and he's thinking if I can get that piece of paper, I can get this insured and move on. What he doesn't realize about a survey is it's important because it can catch some things that will get you in trouble. And you're not even aware, such as this. Now, the other thing is sometimes a surveyor can miss it. This, a boat can be surveyed, and at the time it's surveyed, it won't show anything, and you don't know what kind of fasteners they were using. The boat looks good, and when you work on it with a hammer to see, it sounds and feels good. But 18 months later, it's not. And that's one of the problems with being a surveyor is you don't have x-ray vision. You do the right things, but at the time it's not a problem, but you got something in there that somebody's done that will lead to a serious problem. Sometimes it can be very challenging.
Yeah. Well, what we need, I guess, a machine that does an MRI for the boat like it does for human. I just put it in there.
They're getting closer to that with this new thermal imaging.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that is good.
Yeah, it is. But it's still not, wouldn't find that.
All right, let's take this break. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. So here, Rick Corder talking about boats. But first, let's a couple other things on the agenda. Let's look at this picture of our magazine here, the FWC hunting guide for this year. And always they have something cute on the cover and something interesting. And this little girl here, this 13-year-old Madison Milliken. She's from Tallahassee, and look at that look on her face. That was the very first hunting trip last December. She was hunting on the St. Mark's National Wildlife Reserve. And it was a youth hunt program sponsored by the FWC, and the lady behind her is with FWC, and she took her and was a chaperone, and that was the first one, and she got a very nice 8-point. Congratulations, Madison! What a great picture to put on there too. Okay. Also, let me mention going to fishing now. A couple of fishing tournaments coming up. The next 3 weekends.
We're not on right now.
The next 3 weekends. Okay, I think we're still on. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, the next 3 weekends we're going to have some tournaments right here. We had it written down August 17th. The Redfish tournament, Emerald Coast Redfish, will have their tournament over in Destin next Saturday on the 17th. Then the Catfish tournament, August 30th, 31st, over here in Weewaw, the Flathead Catfish tournament. That's the third leg of that tournament, and then the MBARA. Big fishing tournament, Mexico Beach Artificial Reef Association, August the 24th. So 3 weekends in a row, we have some tournaments: flathead catfish, redfish, or just going offshore catching kings or whatever. So all kinds of things going on. So keep up with them. We're talking about carbon fiber. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, you've got a lot of the new sailboats coming out with carbon fiber mast, and it's strong, but it's a little different than what we've been used to. You know, a wood mast, if you're sailing and it starts getting under strain, it'll kind of whisper to start with, and then it'll start talking to you, and then it'll start screaming at you, and then it'll break. Aluminum, usually you'll get the screaming at you, and then it breaks. Carbon fiber, it doesn't do that. It's all or nothing, and most of the time it's just everything's fine, and all of a sudden it's crashing on your head if you push it too far. Well, another thing is they attract lightning. They're very good lightning conductors, and so if you get struck by lightning, it's difficult to find. You know, it's easy to see a scorch mark in aluminum or a crack or a burn mark in wood.
Yeah.
But carbon fiber, you can go up there and tap on it with a hammer, like we used to do to find things. No, it won't show. The only way you can really find out is to thermal image it. In other words, they put cooler air inside the mast or warmer air, change the temperature, and then shoot it with a thermal image camera, and you can see where the air is coming through that crack. It will show up because it's cooler than around.
Wow.
And that's the only way that you can really determine that a carbon fiber mast is still good. We had one here I guess it's been a year ago now that got struck that way. And those masts are very expensive. This mast was an $80,000 mast, and the insurance company's saying, well, we don't want the guy to go back out there and might fall on his head.
Yeah.
So we got to know. So I had to bring an expert that does only that in clear out of Marblehead, Massachusetts. Brought him down here, and we set it up, and he did the thermal imaging and me watching. And I learned something because I was standing a little off the side. He said, you need to get around behind me. I said, why? He says, I'm picking you up on a reflection off the mast. That's how sensitive it was. I thought, gee whiz. So I moved around. I could see in his camera. He said, yeah, we can stand there. So I watched over his shoulder behind him.
That's interesting.
But we were fortunate. The mast did not have any damage.
Okay.
It was fine. We showed a little bit at each end that we could repair there, and it was, but I learned a lot watching that too.
Well, that is interesting.
But they use it to find problems in steel now because of the same thing. If you've got a crack, that cooler air going through, they can air condition the inside the boat, and then they thermal image, and you can find your leaks.
Well, we always talk about this time of year, especially about lightning, and of course, we can't prevent lightning, but there's a lot of things you can do to sort of help yourself to stay safe and all. But you run across a lot of lightning strikes in your boats?
We have quite a few, and I've never seen any two alike. Some of the things you can do to be safe, of course, sailboats you're pretty safe because the mast makes a cone of protection. If you take a 60-degree angle and go all the way around from the top of your mast, inside that cone, it'll scare you, but it probably won't hurt you.
Of course, you don't want to be. You want to be. You don't want to be touching it.
No.
You want to be away from it.
If you got to steer, I suggest steer one-handed with the right hand. That just, you don't want it to go this way from one hand to the other through the middle of your chest. If you got to take anything, take it down the right side if possible. And lightning does not pay attention to rules, so there are no rules. I've never seen any two lightning strikes the same. But most of the time on a sailboat, most of the experts say you're probably pretty safe. Now on a power boat, if you're inside, say, under a bimini, that bimini frame kind of acts as a protection. You don't want to be the highest object on the boat. That's basically what we're saying. You want something much higher than you, and that's more likely to be the connector.
Well, and again, we're getting in this time of year where it's so hot and all, and it can just pop up. And I think about a place like St. Joe Bay. People out there scollopers. And it can, you're going to be the highest object out there if you're not careful.
Same thing on Shell Island.
Shell Island,
have that happen.
And if a storm is coming, you cannot get out of it. Probably the best thing to do is lay down in your boat.
Lay down in the bottom of the boat, or but just don't.
Don't stick your head up.
Don't stick your head up. Don't be the highest object out there because you'll be the. Most people think it comes down to strikes. It doesn't. It meets. Lightning comes up and it finds a high object to bring it up, and then the other one coming down. Yeah.
Okay, and if you're on the beach, of course, again, you don't want to go stand by a tree, but you don't want to be standing out on the beach by yourself.
No, don't hold on to the flagpole.
We talk about lightning several times throughout the year, and it's always I have a
well, Florida's the lightning capital of the world,
Right.
and if you take from Alligator Point over to Cross City down to just off Tampa, that triangle has more thunderstorms on any given day on the average than any place else in the world. It is the lightning capital of the world.
And when we fish out of Carabel, we go 30 miles south, straight out of Carabel, so we're right in there.
Yep.
And fortunately, the electronics on the boats now with the radar systems and the weather, of course you do it on your phone, but even it's affordable now for small boats to have some really nice radar, weather radar, and you can see that storm coming up, you can see the lightning strikes in it, and you can, with your power, you can get out of the way.
Right. And around here, a lot of times, you'll have the thunderstorms, people will see them, they'll be built up way back inland, or just inshore. And you think, well, the wind's blowing from here off, it won't come down here. What they don't realize is what's creating that wind is all the updraft in those thunderstorms, and it's pulling that air to it.
Oh, yeah.
And if you wait too long, you're going to have to go through those thunderstorms because they're going in the late in the afternoon, somewhere between 3:30 and 4:30, they're going to move from onshore to offshore. And when they do, if you're offshore, you got no choice. You got to go through them to get home.
Yep.
So if you watch them, and at about 3:30, if the wind's picking up a little bit, go ahead and head home because I guarantee you that storm's going to move down.
Exactly like Rick said. We've been out there in that exact situation, and we knew we got to get in.
Yep.
And get on. So we just we just put the metal down and head back in. So all right, let's take this final break, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back. Let's take a look at our fishing game times. I know a lot of y'all are off on Mondays, and let's look at our times. They brought to us by Mark Coward of Edgewater Beach Realty. Our times today, we're looking at Mark's number, of course, is 832-6000. Mark's an excellent fisherman. Enjoy fishing with him. Our times this morning, 4:46 to 6:46. And this afternoon, if those thunderstorms don't roll in, we're looking at 5:11 to 7:11. And that's our fishing times. I want to go ahead and tell y'all, we talk a lot about this fishing times and, it's variables and all, but when we got, you saw the video last week of the King Mackerel tournament, and we ended up in 3rd place. We're very thankful for what a wonderful time we had. But we caught that 42-pounder in that fishing period, and we did 2 years ago when we won the tournament with a 42-pounder. We caught it in that fishing time. So you can say what you want to about fishing times, and they might not be 100%, but I believe in them. So we appreciate Mark for bringing those. Now let's give something away. We haven't given anything away in a while. We've got a little small package here, okay? A pen, okay, a pen visor, a pair of our pliers, floating pliers, put out by Berkeley. Excellent. I've got a couple pair of these, okay? How about a Rebel lure, okay? That's a little pop H, okay? Key floater, okay? To hold your glasses on. These come in handy. I use this a lot too. And a cooler, okay? That's a nice little package there. Rick, I'm gonna let you draw the name this morning, okay? Okay, don't draw your own name now. Of course, your name's not in there. All right, let's pick out a winner.
They don't allow old reprobates in there.
So who won that?
Ron
Mellithan from Glen Haven.
Yeah.
Mellithan, okay? We'll just slide all that over there. Ron, you won that. Congratulations on winning, okay? Now, we want to give a special tribute here from Panhandle Outdoors in honor of Bill Tant. Bill Tant, you knew Bill Tant.
Yep.
And I featured him. He's one of the stories out of my book. And I just thought the world of Bill Tant. Here's a story I did on him.
I'm going to miss hearing him blow that.
He could blow that.
I can hear it at my house.
Yeah. Bill came down from Birmingham in the 1950s. I did some interviews with him, and he's such just a good man. And that's a story. Actually, I did a 2-page story. He came down. He was the first diver down here, really. He came down here, dove, and got some people. He'd leave Highway 31 out of Birmingham and pickup truck in the 1950s. Had one diving tank, and they would just take turns with it. And he was an amazing guy. I remember he was a member of 82nd Airborne too.
Yes.
82nd Airborne. He bought that house in 1955 right there in St. Andrew. And of course, that tradition of blowing that blowing that conch shell every afternoon at
sunset. Yep. Every afternoon.
And Bill passed away last week and had services and all for him, but he's another one out of my book that's passed on that I'm thankful that we have his story. I've got his voice on tape telling those stories and all, and maybe one day, Rick, we'll have a museum somewhere in St. Andrew. We'll donate all that stuff back to the museum, and our heritage and our tradition here in the Panhandle is so rich, and it's a shame we don't. And we'll talk to you. And
yeah, right now there's some at the library.
Yeah,
on some people.
We have some good stuff at our local library, and so anyway, to the Bill Tant family, our condolences, and great.
You'll be missed.
Great to get to know Bill Tant. Always had a smile on his face and did some remarkable things. Did. Okay. Now we got a couple minutes left. Anything else you want to talk about boats or anything? You got any ideas you have?
Well, our hurricane season is basically really just starting for us. Remember, most of ours happen in September and October if we have stuff. So just check your tropic report on occasion, because now we're getting into that season.
And they're talking about our history and all, talking about how those old timers, they just had a sense, they knew when the storm was out there, and from the 1925, 1930s on, they were able to get it. But back before then, a lot of them sort of got caught in it, and as they became older and wiser, they knew what to look for.
Yes, they did. And there's a little trick that they used to use that works real well if you're trying to stay away from bad weather. If you will face the wind and stick your right arm out, okay, in the northern hemisphere, everything rotates this bad counterclockwise. And then it also turns and comes in. So if you just stick your right arm out, you're not quite right. But if you'll turn it about 30 degrees back, you're pointing right at the bad weather. Stick your left arm and go that way. Get away from it.
Good
because
idea.
that's one way to stay out of a hurricane if you're at sea, is to run away from it to the weak side.
True. Well, folks, we're going to wrap it up. We want y'all to have a great week and do some outdoor activities and all along during the week now. Do some good things for you other folks. And
watch the heat.
And watch the heat. Drink a lot of liquid and all, and be careful out there.
Thanks for joining us for Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors features hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.